And we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to talk about the Knicks. They begin their second half tonight. They will be playing. They're playing the Bulls tonight. A little Seinfeld reference. The Knicks are playing the Bulls tonight, and reinforcements could be on the way. OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson both back in practice, which is very encouraging. Now, Mitchell Robinson hasn't played the whole year, had off-season surgery. I think it was on his, I think it's on his ankle. So yeah, he hasn't played the whole year. OG Anunoby's been out with a foot sprain, but they should be getting him back as well, and that's huge. That's huge getting these guys back. With OG Anunoby, I don't know the record off the top of my head, but the record with OG Anunoby when he's in the lineup since the Knicks acquired him last season is really good. It's really good. The Knicks really don't lose when they have him. And with Mitchell Robinson, he's not a guy that's known as a scorer. And he's not very good at free throws. But he's another big body that you get back in this lineup, and it just lengthens it out. And, one of the guys that, I guess he would be coming off the bench. But, maybe on certain nights, you have him at the 5 and you have, Karl Anthony Towns at the 4. You could do that. And, one of these guys could go to the bench. Maybe you put, I don't know if they would want to do this, but you put Josh Hart on the bench, lengthen out the bench. Because that was the biggest concern going into the season, was the bench. Because, they had to trade DiVincenzo and Randall for Karl Anthony Towns. And Karl Anthony Towns has been unbelievable this year for the Knicks. And he was an all-star this year. You had him and Brunson being all-star starters, which, I guess you would have liked to have seen them, play together, in a full game. See that on display. But we got this new tournament format. But rightfully deserved for both players. But yeah, the bench was a concern. But you're getting minutes from campaign, and Deuce McBride's been dealing with injuries, but you figure you're gonna be getting him back. But this is big news. And Mitchell Robinson's a guy that plays defense, can get rebounds, and that's what they need. And that's what they're gonna need when they match up against the Celtics. Now, I still think the Celtics are the better team, and until the Knicks can show that they could beat them, that's how it's going to be. So far, the Knicks are 0-2 against them this year. They got blown out, the first game against them, and then, kind of the same thing in the second contest. Not as bad as the first one, but still, if the Knicks want to be looked at as a title contender, you got to be able to beat these teams. And, the Celtics are going to be a team that's going to be standing in their way. And so far, they have not delivered when they played against them. So, but I still think this is a very good team. And hopefully, they can take it a step further. Because I would have loved to have seen them in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But it's just the injuries really caught up to them. And injuries are kind of a problem this year. Josh Hart is going to be dealing with something in his knee for really the rest of the year. And OG Anunoby is on the way back, but who's to say he doesn't get hurt again? Same thing with Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson, problem with him is he can't stay on the court. I'm so used to saying he can't stay on the field, but now that we're talking other sports, he can't stay on the court. So, and hopefully he can, because he is important. And, he was a guy that could have possibly got traded. But the Knicks held on to him. And he's going to be an important player in the second half. So, and they play the Bulls tonight. And the Bulls, right now, not having a great year. Their record on the season, they're 22-33. So, I mean, I think the Knicks should win. They're at home tonight. Then again, I said the Lakers should win last night, and they ended up losing by 3. And LeBron actually ended up playing last night. So he actually, it seemed like he wasn't going to play, but he did end up playing. He had 26 points. Luka had a rough night. He was 5 for 18 from the field, 1 for 9 from 3, and he had 6 turnovers, and the Lakers ended up losing, which I thought they should be able to beat the Hornets, but that was not the case. I think the Knicks should win tonight. They're 12-point favorites. But like looking at the stats for OG Anunoby on the season, has played in 49 games. He averages 36.3 minutes. I mean, the starters have played a lot. I mean, you got Brunson's averaging 35 minutes a game. Karl Anthony Towns is averaging 35 minutes a game as well. 38 minutes for Bridges, 36 for Anunoby, 37 for Josh Hart. Anunoby is averaging 16.4 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 2 assists. But he's an important player. He is a very important player. And let me see and last year with the Knicks, in his time with the Knicks after he was traded from Toronto, averaged around the same 15 points per game. Mitchell Robinson, like I said, hasn't played at all, but getting him back is huge. And right now, the Knicks, they are currently in the 3rd seed. They're 3.5 games back of the Celtics. So, we talk about the Celtics and how, right now they are the better team than the Knicks, but, the Knicks are right behind them. And then Cleveland, they're 8 games behind. Cleveland's 44-10 on the year, but a lot of people really aren't buying into Cleveland. They think, that other shoe is going to drop at some point. But give him credit. So I think Kenny Atkinson is the coach now, and, he was done wrong in Brooklyn when, KD, Kyrie, and Harden were all there. They got rid of him. But he's a good coach. He's a good coach. Anthony in the chat says, honestly, I don't think the Lakers are as good as the rankings say they are. I think they're going to be a playing team by the end of the season. I mean, look, they've lost 2 straight games now. One of them was to the Jazz, and now they just lost to the Hornets last night. So, and the other thing, too, is, I mean, Luka really hasn't gotten it going yet. I mean, you would think once he gets hot, this team maybe could kick it into another gear. They're still in a good spot right now, but, yeah, I mean, they got to start playing better. So, we'll see how it goes. But, for the Knicks, they're in a good spot. I mean, they are in a better spot than the Lakers. Right now, they're the 3rd seed in the conference. In the Eastern Conference. I like the Knicks to make it to at least the 2nd round again, but, it depends. If they're going to match up against the Celtics in the 2nd round, I mean, I would probably lean towards taking the Celtics in a 7-game series. But, we'll see. Now, you get Mitchell Robinson back, you get OG back. This team is basically complete. How are they going to look? And, I'm excited to see it. It should be fun. Anthony says, how close are the playing teams in terms of record in both conference? Play-in. Or the playing teams in terms of record. So, I mean, if you look at the Eastern Conference, the Magic are 27 and 29. They're the 7th seed. The Hawks are 26 and 29. The Heat are 25 and 28. And the Bulls are 22 and 33. So I said the Bulls are not having a good year. Well, technically, they would be a playoff team if the playoffs ended today. Or the playoffs started today. They would be a play-in team. I feel like it's always the Heat and the Bulls playing in the play-in. And then you look at the Western Conference. I mean, it's better than the Eastern Conference because all the teams that are in the play-in are over 500. So the Timberwolves, they're 31-25. The Mavericks are 30-26. The Kings are 28-27, and the Warriors are 28-27. And then you got the Suns, who are on the outside looking in. They're 26-28. And the Spurs, they're 23-29. I was hoping for a better year out of the Spurs. Chris Paul being there, Wemby, 2nd season. They did trade for De'Aaron Fox, so they really got to go on a run to try to, squeak in, and we'll see if they can. But yeah, so the Knicks they start tonight. A handful of teams will be playing tonight. So I'll be locked in for it, and we'll see what they do against the Bulls. I mean, I think they should win, but last night, like I said, I had the Lakers winning, and they ended up losing. And again, LeBron was playing. LeBron was playing, and they still lost. So that's my thoughts on the Knicks. Reinforcements on the way. Very encouraging. Good news. And we are going to take our next break now. And then when we come back, we'll talk more basketball, actually. We're going to talk about Kevin Durant and talk about his reasoning behind, shutting down a potential trade that would send him back to Golden State and reunite with Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. And I wanted to give you my thoughts on that because I thought it was interesting. And, and Kevin Durant had a lot of success there, but he didn't want to go back. He did not want to go back. So we will get into that conversation when we return from our next break. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.